Now Donaldson is having words with Grandal, and the White Sox run in, and of course the Yankees run out.
Now, the first one to home plate is Tim Anderson. Obviously, Grandal said something to Donaldson about Anderson. He and Anderson have been jawing at each other since, well, Aaron Judge is having his say also. And we got a big scrum at home plate.
Yeah, almost every player is there. Now the bullpens run in like their help is needed. The baseball has to stop that. They have to do what David Stern did in basketball. Thou shalt not leave the bench.
And they are actually pulling Tim Anderson into the dugout, the White Sox players and some coaches. And Judge got Donaldson away. Tim Anderson is actually in the dugout, and he's ready to go. And they've actually pulled him into the dugout to stop.
Now the scrum is breaking up. I'll tell you who is out there in a hurry is Aaron Judge. And now he turns and heads back toward the dugout. The bullpens go back to the bullpens. We don't need the bullpens in.
No, certainly don't. But either Grandal said something, I would imagine it was Grandal who said something to Donaldson, because then he jawed back and in came Tim Anderson. And Donaldson still has the bat in his hand.
And there are a few Yankees who stand around, make sure nothing's happened. Tony La Russa was talking to one of the umpires, and the umpires are saying, go back. Go back.
Well, Anderson is a little bit of a hothead. He's still screaming. And when I tell you they physically took, and he's still screaming, Tim Anderson, and Harrison first, and now one of the coaches trying to get him back to his shortstop position. He hasn't stopped. He's still yelling. Donaldson standing there with the bat in his hand. Grandal is the one who started this one.
Grandal has now gone to the mound, standing on the mound. He isn't talking to Lopez. That's what I thought he was doing.
I was talking to Anderson. Anderson's still yelling. Now Grandal has said something. He just wants to get away from that. The umpires are huddling around. La Russa is out. You know, Stanton and Judge standing out there together, it's an imposing sight. La Russa's still out there, and I think what they're trying to do, John, is calm down Anderson. He's a hothead. We've seen this his whole career. But Grandal started chirping at Donaldson. That's Donaldson turn. I saw Donaldson turn and look at Grandal like saying something, and that's how it all started. And as soon as they started chirping at each other, in came Anderson, and that's how that started. Now Grandal's not done. Or are they showing that again?
Yeah, I think they're showing it again.
Yeah, Donaldson came into the batter's box, and Grandal came over and started talking to him, and it was all. And then Anderson saw that. He starts running in, making trouble. They're just talking to each other, and all of a sudden, Donaldson, who's talking to Grandal, gets shoved in the back by Anderson. One of the umpires took Anderson away, and he's grabbed by a couple of the coaches, Joe McEwing particularly, and they practically carried him into the dugout. Abreu pushing him back, and you don't want to get, you know, you're not going to win a shoving match with Jose Abreu, Anderson. And Abreu is pretty much pushing him all the way back into the dugout. La Russa's still standing out there.
I'd love to know what it is between Donaldson and Anderson, because that's the key.
Well,
that's the one that started all the problems. Aaron Boone comes out of the dugout, and they tell him go back.
Well, it was in Chicago when Anderson came in, and Donaldson, you know, hit him, and they got up and they started shoving. It started in that fight, the first fight, where they all emptied, and it's kept going. Josh Harrison was trying to pat Anderson on the back, as now everyone's going back. If we could play ball, it would be really nice. And second base umpire Greg Gibson, who is the crew chief, is still talking to Tim Anderson. Now Anderson turns around, goes back to shortstop.
Meanwhile, Ronaldo Lopez taking some warm-up tosses. And Donaldson comes up again. There hasn't been a pitch to him. And he got Stanton at first base with no one out. Bottom of the fifth inning, Yanks have a 6-3 lead. And we're set to go. And the right-hander deals. Oh, there is a strike. Breaking ball strike, and the count 1-1.
The thing that's lost in this also, I believe that both benches have been warned. So that this doesn't escalate.
Now Stanton with the lead at first. It'll be an 0-1 to Donaldson. And breaking ball strike 0-2. Donaldson 0 for 2 on the day, but he does have an RBI and a ground out. Now here comes the 0-2 from Lopez. And the pitch caught on a miss. Donaldson strikes out, 1 away. Let's take 10 seconds station ID.
Grandal and Donaldson are jawing. Donaldson in the right-hand batter's box, and Yaz is right in his face. And here come the benches. Right now, some pushing and shoving. And I think Tim is really, really angry.
Yeah.
Joe McEwen, Gavin Sheets are at least three.
Jose,
they're holding back Tim on the warning track behind home plate. Bullpens have now emptied.
Yeah, the smart thing is to make sure that Tim, of all of them, is carried away. Sheets and Abreu have got him in a back-to-front bear hug, carrying him back to the dugout. Because if Tim's going to decide to get something going here, then he's going to lose a lot of time. Tim has just been carried into the dugout by Abreu.
And
against his will.
Yep.
And then you have Harrison over chastising him. The veteran is letting him know how important he is to the team.
And the meeting has been broken up. Relievers headed back to their bullpens. Tony La Russa is chatting with, I believe, Aaron Hicks right now. So we're watching the replay. Donaldson walking up to the plate. And Grandal got right in his ear. And it looked like Donaldson saying, "What are you talking about?" And they were nose to nose.
Well, there's no doubt that the instigator in that situation was Yasmani. Whatever he had to say, he was making sure that Donaldson heard it. Josh, to his credit, remained calm. You know, I'm not a big Donaldson's antics fan, but he didn't do anything. Stand there and take it. And as you said, nose to nose. But there's no doubt that Yasmani had something he wanted to say to Donaldson, and he said it.
Tim, standing near the mound, is yelling at Donaldson. It just doesn't feel like this thing is going to be over.
Well, it seems that Josh has been a guy over his career that has been in the middle of a lot of this kind of stuff. But at the same time, he seems to be able to handle all of this stuff. He is always going to be indifferent, like whatever. He likes to get you riled up.
So the question for you as the former players, where do we go from here? I mean, look, in hockey, the two guys would just square off, and then when it's over, it's 5 minutes each, and we move on. But we've got 2.5 more games to play, and these two guys are going to get together again.
Well, I don't know who the instigator is between Tim and Donaldson out there in the middle of the infield earlier. I don't know who started that conversation. but whoever did needs to move on. You know what I mean? I have never been a fan of continuing a grudge. You handle it when it takes place. So in other words, the first time it happened, it should have been taken care of. If you had a problem with somebody, you take care of it right then and there. You don't wait till later and go, I'm going to get you later, unless you've been cheap shot and you never had a chance to get them back. The first instant that you have after that, you handle it then. But it can't keep going on. It gets to a point where, what are we doing? I mean, we're not children in the playground here. You get on with your jobs and you move on. You don't continue on. What this does is if the White Sox are instigating this, it makes them look bad, in my opinion, because you got to move on. If you want to have a brawl, get on with it. Stop this and let's go.
Greg Gibson just issued warnings to both teams. And before we resume, let's pause 10 for ID. It's the ESPN 1000 Hard Rock Casino White Sox Network.
From the First Midwest Bank, a division of Old National Bank's State Street studio, this is WMVP WSHE HD2 Chicago, a Good Karma Brands radio station.
So we are about ready to resume with Stanton at first, nobody out. The batter is Josh Donaldson, and I think Ronaldo was just told by Greg Gibson about the warnings. And Ronaldo will get a chance to take a few warm-up tosses, I believe, before we continue.
I guarantee that Donaldson will get back in the batter's box and be, yeah, if you're going to drill me, get after it already. But then again, that's my point. It should have already been handled if there was some hard feelings and if teammates are protecting each other. You take care of that stuff when it really means something, not later. Now, it used to be that you'd log a situation and get them when it was appropriate later on. Game's not like that anymore. Now, if you've got a beef, you handle it and move on. Simple as that. It can't continue. Like you said, we got a game, 2 games tomorrow. Show up and play baseball.
Vaughn holding Stanton at first. No words exchanged this time between Donaldson and Grandal. And a first pitch strike on a slider. It's 0-1. 6-3 Yankees, bottom 5. Donaldson's hit into 2 fielders' choices. He's knocked in a run and scored a run from the DH spot. Pitch called strike 2 on a slider.
The last thing you'd really want to see, truth be told, is these 2 teams get into it physically. Neither team wants their players hurt. I mean, you don't want to all of a sudden see Aaron Judge or Stanton hurt or Tim Anderson or Abreu hurt. I mean, it happens just on accident out there.
Well, if the White Sox want to win this game, Tim can't get kicked out either.
That's right.
He's hitting .350. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Donaldson out, 1 away. Oh.
Well, yeah, I've always felt that if nothing physically has been done to you, then you show them by your actions out there as a player, beating them that way. You know, play the game hard, play it clean, and beat the opponent and look at him and go, that's right, keep throwing me that pitch, I'll hammer it.
Torres bats with a man.
Let's go to the studio, see what's coming up on Subaru White Sox postgame live with Ozzie Guillen and his new friend Lawrence Holmes. Hey, guys, we got something going on. Guys, we got something going on. Donaldson and Grandal were going at it while the update was happening, and now the benches are spilling out. This all started right at home plate. Donaldson and Grandal were getting after it right in the batter's box. The bullpens are coming out from left center and right center, and some guys are having to be restrained here. Gavin Sheets has Tim Anderson. Sox and Yankees spilled out during the update Grandal and Donaldson right at home plate. And remember, there was the play back at Guaranteed Rate Field where Donaldson put out the leg on a Tim Anderson slide over at third base. They had words and the benches spilled out briefly. Tim is all the way back in the dugout now, and Jose is holding him back. Wow. Josh Donaldson and Yasmani Grandal were at the plate. Let's watch it again. This all happened right at home plate. And then very quickly, Nick Marley came out from behind the plate and then got in between. This is where it all started, and then everybody came out of the dugouts. What are you seeing here, Gordon?
Obviously context. They're pointing towards TA of some sort, and TA being so upset means I think he's involved in some way, or at least Yaz was sticking up for him. It looked like it was going to be settled amicably, and I think that because everybody saw them get together, that's what causes everybody to run out. Yaz was having words, Josh Donaldson having words back, but there was no physical contact. Like I said, not sure about the context of what's going on, but I believe that's Yaz sticking up for his shortstop in some way. Unfortunately, I don't know all the context.
Well, all we've seen play out in front of us in games this year is the play at Guaranteed Rate Field last weekend when Donaldson stuck out his leg to get in the way of a Tim Anderson slide and kind of got him in the chops with the leg in foul territory, and he pushed him off the base. So the umpire made the call and said, if he pushed him off the base, he's back and he's safe. Now that may be part of this, but again, Donaldson had the situation with Giolito when he was in Minnesota, and he was talking to Lucas as he was coming around the plate on a home run. So the history of Donaldson and the White Sox is different than Donaldson and the Yankees and the White Sox, but they're all intertwined. Now the umpires are talking it over, as they are encouraged to do as a four-man group in a situation like this. It's not one guy to make the decision. They come together as a group nowadays. And so we'll see what ends up happening. But Gordon, you're right on it. I mean, it had to have involved Tim, because Gavin Sheets and Jose Abreu picked him up and put him in the dugout.
Rightly so. You can't have TA get thrown out of the game here on something he didn't start. Need TA in the game for them to be able to win. Good job by the big boys to get him out of the way. Love is fire. Need him in the game. There's a warning, it looks like, is going to both sides. You're not going to throw anybody out of the game, which I think is the right call. There was no pushing or shoving going on by the two that started this. And I'm sure they'll touch mitts or whatever they want to do to make sure everything's good. There's no harm in talking.
We're going to go back to the end of the third inning and show you at the top of your screen Tim's defensively out there, and Donaldson was a base runner, and they started talking to each other in the third inning. So that's certainly part of it. Leury Garcia came over and everybody got off the field.
That's clearly, I mean, I think that's probably something, they're having a conversation about what happened in Chicago right there. My guess is somebody was, maybe Donaldson was apologizing for it. Maybe TA just said, nah, man, you tried to do that on purpose or something like that. And it spilled over. Obviously, when teammates hear about it, they start trying to stick up for their other teammate. Who knows? Either way, everybody's still in the game. And I think it ended the way it should. Nobody's thrown out of the game. We can keep playing baseball. Just with a little more tension.
Yeah, now you got Donaldson at the plate. Stanton over at first base. Everybody stays in the ball game. And this is a strike to Donaldson. Well, let's see if we can make it through 3 games without incident.
Too late.
That's pretty much it. Who knows where it goes from here? That's a strike. 0-2 on Donaldson. How did you like to handle situations like that when they started to spill?
It's not a good situation, especially if there's fights going on, because you don't know if somebody's like thinking I'm in the fight when you're not currently there, so to speak. So you're kind of watching your back a little bit, but that was relatively amicable.
And there is the first strikeout of the game for the Yankees. It's Josh Donaldson. And there's 1 out in the 5th.
This was in Chicago. Anderson didn't like this, the attempted tag and the push off by Donaldson. Then this play at second. Anderson has some words. Donaldson, yeah. And now tonight, didn't escalate, but there were more words. And Anderson said, I see you. And here we go again. Now Grandal and Donaldson nose to nose, and the bench is empty. Well, this was heating up on a hot Saturday, and it's spilling over right now. The bullpen's emptying, running toward home plate. And being dragged away by the White Sox is Tim Anderson. But this started with Grandal and with Donaldson at home plate. Abreu's a big man, and Anderson continues to want to get at Donaldson. And there's still 2.5 games left to go.
Well, Tim Anderson is the spark plug of the White Sox, and then Grandal is going to stick up for his players that are not involved. You see what happens. You got Aaron Judge laughing, but you know it's not a laughing matter there. The White Sox are struggling. The Yankees have been beating them up, and all of a sudden, you know, they're going to bull their neck and make something out of it. And if you're Josh Donaldson, you got to figure out, you know, what's going on here.
Well, the umpire's going to have to get together and think, well, who are we throwing out of this game right now, if anybody? Now Donaldson's having words with La Russa. And La Russa being moved away by the umpires. And now Anderson is out of the dugout again. And he is still chirping. Well, the relievers were headed back to the bullpen. They're just lingering in the outfield right now, as a lot of the attention is on the infield. Well, you're not really seeing Donaldson say anything. There's a lot of chirping from the White Sox side.
You know what, Coney? I think you agree with me here. If there are times when managers will try to spark teams when they're struggling, and there's times when you know, players will try to stand up and spark teams, and that's what this looks like to me. That, you know, you're frustrated, you're losing to the Yankees again. You know, you've had a couple, you know, shouting matches, but no punches thrown or no really wild pitches up and in. But you know, just trying to rally, trying to find something to get this team going a little bit.
You see Grandal had the first words. And you could see right there, I don't know exactly what Donaldson's saying, but he's certainly not the aggressor here. It's Yasmani Grandal. And then here comes Anderson, and he is pulled away immediately. And Aaron Judge is in there, as well as Giancarlo Stanton, and those are nice protectors to have. Now, all hell could break loose because Donaldson still is at the plate. A pitch goes inside. It will not be pretty right now.
This is far from over. In fact, it's worse. Gasoline has been thrown on the fire now. Whatever was said at second base earlier in this game between Donaldson and Anderson set this thing back off again, and it is far from settled.
Now, Aaron Boone wanted to go out and get a clarification. Is there going to be a warning? And he's waved off by Greg Gibson, the crew chief. All right, so now both benches have been warned. So if Lopez does throw at Donaldson or at any Yankee, he'll be thrown out, and La Russa will be thrown out. And the same goes for the Yankee pitchers.